There. During this tutorial, we will aim to create a Nest.js based backend service that fetches the offers from the Itheum Marketplace and returns them to a user requesting them by an endpoint. Nest.js is a very popular JavaScript or TypeScript framework that allows users to build their own Node.js backend service in a very clean and easy way. Now, after you have opened the folder in Visual Studio Code, like I did with this folder name tutorial, we will go to terminal and open a new terminal. In this new terminal, the first thing we will do is we will install the Nest.js CLI. If you are confused about what a CLI is, let me enlighten you real quick. A CLI is a command line interface. This means that we will be able to use commands directly into a terminal like big programmers do in order to build stuff quicker and have some things automatically done for us. Now, I have just hit this command and the Nest.js CLI will install for me. For me, it's already installed, so here is changed to 163 packages. For you, it might be some other wording here because you might not have it installed already. Now, what we'll do is we will create a new project using Nest.js CLI. I will create my project name Marketplace Fetch, and now we wait for the project to be created. Soon enough, you will see that the terminal will ask me what type of package manager do I want to use, and I'm allowed to choose between npm, yarn and pnpm. As you can see, I can scroll between them by using the arrow keys on my keyboard. If you don't know what to use here or you don't have a specific preference, npm is always a safe choice and is what we will use today, but you can feel free to use yarn or pnpm. I have chosen npm and now we will wait for the application to be created. Now, what you should note is that after it is created, as you see, I also have an installation in progress. This is not the backend itself that is installed, but rather my dependencies. These are other packages that are used by my project and are already built by some other people in order to not have to reinvent the wheel myself. Don't worry about this, we'll just wait for it to happen, for the installation to happen, and then I will show you how to open the project itself. But until then, let's look through the files. Here we have some config files. If you don't know exactly what they are, don't worry about it. It's fine to not know everything for now, but we'll concentrate on the source folder. This is where all the magic of coding actually happens once everything else is set up. We have the main file, which basically is used to bring our service to life, and we also have these three files. Don't worry about this one. The spec files are used to write tests for our application, which is very useful to have at hand, but for the moment we're not going to talk about that, but rather about these three files. These three files are what constitute a healthy Nest.js module. We have a module that basically contains a controller and a service. The controller is what makes the module be able to communicate with the outside world, to say so. We have the controller that is basically showing, okay, I'm going to allow users to use a get function in order to get this result from the get hello function. And in the service, you can see that we have this hello world. You can see that we have this hello world result that is going to be returned. Now let's see if our endpoint, our very basic endpoint, is going to actually work. Before doing that, what we will have to do is we will want to open our folder with the project, because right now we're in the tutorial folder, but we want to be in the exact Marketplace Fetch folder. After selecting this new folder and opening it, you see that now I'm in the Marketplace Fetch folder, not the tutorial one. we should open a new terminal and we should see that the last folder is marketplace fetch. Now, if we want to run this server, we could use npm run start. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add this thing with dev at the end, because what this does is it makes it so that whenever I make a change to my code, the server is automatically restarted and I will be able to see that change. Now we will wait for the server to start, and what should happen once the server is starting is that if I go on its address, the server will basically return me this get endpoint, because this get endpoint doesn't have anything written here, meaning that it's accessible from the root URL, and also we see that our server is running on the port 3000, meaning that in order to get to that server I should just go here. As you can see, we have localhost 3000. Now, good job so far if you have followed through with this, because we have just built a very simple Nest.js backend service. What we will do next is we will add a Swagger interface to it. If you don't know what a Swagger interface is, don't worry. For now, close the running of this instance. You can do it by pressing Ctrl+C, and we'll close it. And for now, what we will do is we will install the Swagger dependency in order to use it. After running this command npm install --save at nest.js/swagger, we will start implementing our Swagger interface. Now, let's see how we do that. First, we want to create a config for it. Next, for this config, we will set a title, which is going to be, let's say, Itheum Marketplace offer fetch tutorial. Once we have created this, once we have put a title, let's also set a description. This is a simple project that aims to use Nest.js and Itheum SDK to fetch offers from the marketplace, let's make it even more clear, from the Data NFT Marketplace. Now, let's also set a version. The version will be whatever you want it to be. I'll put it as 001, because that's how we mostly version things at Itheum when they're in just their initial phase. In terms of tags, we will add maybe let's add a tag Itheum. You can also add some other tag. Maybe I want to also add a tag named, I don't know, I want to add a tag Damien, which is my name. And when we're all done with this, we will build it. Now, what we will do is we will create a document based on this config. All right. And once all this is created, we'll also set up the Swagger module. Now, don't worry if you don't understand what everything of this is doing. These are just bits and pieces that you can also find in the Nest.js documentation if you search for it. So basically, you don't have to remember this by heart. These are things that are generally one Google away, but in this instance, I'm going to help you through with it. Now let's start our application once again, so I can explain what is happening. All right, now that it is working, we have a very simple Swagger interface. Now, if I go on localhost 3000, I can see this hello world. But at the same time, I have also set up the Swagger module on API. This means that if I go right here and I put /API, I have an interface. Here's some tags that are available under which I can put different endpoints, but I can also set up, I also have a default endpoint here, a default tag with endpoints here. And under this default tag, I can set up an execution of the basic hello world endpoint which I have had before. Now this is a very simple way of making your server be very easily readable. I can see my endpoints around here when I build more and interact with them. All right, now that we have done this, let us also try building a new module where we will put our marketplace fetcher. In order to do this, what we will do is we will again stop our app, and what we'll do is we'll run the command nest generate module market. We will wait for the module to be created. Okay, it has been created, and you can see that the file app module was also updated to include the market module. This is great. It's doing stuff for us so we don't forget to. Now that we have the module, we will also create a controller named market for it. Perfect. And you can see that the controller was created, a file with tests for the controller has been created, and the market module has been updated. Now we will also create a service for it, because that's what we're always going to do when we have a new part in our application. We'll create for it a controller, a service, and and they will be encapsulated in a module. Now you can see that we have a new folder here named market that has new files. Again, we don't care that much for now about the spec files, we care about these 3 files. Perfect. Now we can see that inside our app controller function we have a constructor. This constructor basically tells the controller that it should use the app service inside the app controller. For now, what we'll do is we'll copy this controller and put it in our market controller. And not only that, but what we'll do is we'll also change it so it's using the market service. This is perfect. Now we can also see that we have this get file, which we will copy for now. And we will import whatever it needs in order to work. In our case, our controller needs to get these from Nest.js to work, so we will import them. All right. Now, in our case, we want to use market service, and we'll probably use fetch offers to get our offers. And we will also not return a string, and instead of get hello, we will use get offers. Now we don't yet have such a method in our market service, but we will create it, no worries. Now when we go to the market service, we see that it's pretty much empty. Let's look in the app service. In the app service, the difference is that there is a function. We'll copy that function so we have a basic template in the beginning, and we'll just put get offers here. Get offers, and we will put this one here. Now inside the market controller we see that we do not inside the market controller we see that the market service is not defined. This is because I have written this poorly, but now it is fine. We'll use here get offers because that's how we named it. All right, now we have our boilerplate to create the offers. Before we have everything, let's see that it works as we would expect. This is before we actually include the Itheum SDK. All right, just by opening the localhost with /API, we can see that now we have the market here, and we can execute it and see offers will be here. Let's try now to add some parameters to this. We'll add, let's say, a parameter that will be, for example, network, which will be a string. Here we can say if we want to take offers from mainnet or devnet, for example, and we'll also give this network as an argument for our get offers, and we'll also put it as string here. This is just to highlight to you how we will use the parameters when we want to build parameters. All right, now that we have this, we'll go to localhost 3000/API, and for example, you can see that here I do not have an endpoint because there's no place here. It's showing no parameters. Now the reason for which this is happening is because we do not have any parameters here, as I said. That being said, we can easily solve this. We will do that by going just right here and telling Nest.js that we are going to query for the network. Before doing that, let us just import the query. So Nest.js knows that we will want to use this, and here we'll put query network. Now I have done this, and we can see that when I refresh it, I have a network query that is actually required. I can write here devnet, and it will execute, taken from devnet network. And what's even more impressive and cool is that I can see the link that was used to get this information here. Now I can use the link like this to understand how this call is performed in order to replicate it in another application where maybe I have a front end facing a user. Now let us continue with actually adding the Itheum SDK. Considering now we have this interface where we get the network, we will go to the service where we will create that magic. But before that, let us just stop the server for a bit, just so that we will install the Itheum SDK. Now let us do just this. Now, as the SDK is being installed, what we'll do is we will import the SDK inside of our package to use it, and to do that we will use this. All right, now let us just create a new Data NFT Market object. Oops, I have written this wrong, so let me just rewrite it. All right. And now let us take those offers. Generally, what we advise you to do is to not use wait, first of all, let us just make this method asynchronous so we can use await. We advise you to not use view offers that will take all, but rather view paged offers. This is to just limit the amount of data you're getting through a single call and make your app run faster. Okay, now that we have taken this, we'll rename this as offers. And what we'll do is we will return those offers. Inside of our controller, we can see that we are returning this. Now let's see if this will work. All right, now I have opened it. Let's see how we can fetch stuff. If I write here devnet, I click execute, I will be quickly getting the offers. Now these are the 10 offers that I have paged from 1 to 10. Now some important things to remember are you might sometimes get an error from this just because the SDK is trying to just take these offers via the Multiverse X gateway for you, but sometimes it fails because there's lots of load on the devnet, even more so now that there's the hackathon happening. If that happens, you can just try again. Then again, this is from devnet. Let us try on mainnet as well. If we click on execute, we can see that we have also taken some offers from mainnet. Devnet again, and we see we're taking some other offers. Now, this has been our tutorial for the day. I hope you liked it, and I have a quick challenge for you. Now that we have done this and we're taking the network, why don't you try and also modify our code so that you take the offers with some query parameters paging. For example, the same way I have here network, you could make from and size also appear, and you could take offers from to size. Basically, you could take, I don't know, offers between 10 and 155, or just modify it in your call however you wish, or give the users that option. Let me know how that goes, and don't forget, if you have any issues, all the Itheum developers are one message away on the Itheum Discord server.